Hey, all. It is Wednesday, which means it is Dear Camille Wellness Wednesday. I absolutely love coming up here to talk to you all about different areas of wellness to truly understand that wellness is so much more than just your fitness and your nutrition. It's also about that mindset, it's about that maintenance, and it's also about growing your business and truly understanding about the power of controlling your own thoughts and thus having a full grasp and understanding of your individual feelings and emotions, because it's through our thoughts that create our emotions and our feelings, and that will really drive us to the next action steps that we need to take to get to the levels that we desire to get to. Because as humans, we're constantly on a quest to excel, to elevate, to motivate, and to most importantly, live the best life that we can while we are here on this planet. I was about to say on this rock. So I want to know who's rocking with me. Where are you from? Drop in the comments where you're rocking with me from. It's so awesome to see with the blessing and beauty of technology that we are able to connect regardless of where we're located. We're truly able to build and elevate through showing up and experiencing things that we once were unable to. And that's why I love bringing to you all every Wednesday the Dear Camille Wellness Wednesday segment. So, what is today about? Who's ready? Who's ready to know what today is about? Drop a one in the comments. I want to know who's rocking with me today, who's ready to truly get to a better understanding of all the different areas of wellness. There's so many areas. And the problem is, a lot of us get stuck on one part of the wellness area and we neglect the rest. And that's why we have so many ups and downs, yo-yos in our results, and most importantly, that sustained lifestyle that we're trying to achieve. Not even trying to achieve, we are achieving because we're doing the work and we're aligning it with everything that coincides with our lifestyle, our desires, and taking that most important action steps to get it done. Because if it's not followed by any action, it just becomes a dream and a thought. So today we are going to discuss on this Wellness Wednesday, Dear Camille, why do I always feel so guilty? Why is this guilt paralyzing me from getting to that next level? Now, why are we talking about guilt when we're talking about wellness? Is because guilt is a part of our wellness, because it is a feeling that we have that sometimes paralyzes us. We don't even realize sometimes that we're carrying guilt that may be something from way in our past, but because we've never really released it or forgiven ourselves from it, we're actually being chained down through the lack of action, through the lack of motivation, and through the lack of inspiration to get to that next level because of maybe something that happened in the past where you weren't as successful, or maybe not as a little embarrassed about. Who can relate to that? Who can relate to some time in their life when they were a little, not the happiest with themselves? We're human. If you didn't raise your hand up, then you must be a chat GPT AI, because to be human is to understand that we do make mistakes. And the best thing about mistakes is we learn from them. We grow. When we fail, we scale. But the true essence of being able to scale or to continue to go is to truly understand that guilty feeling. Know that it's still there. Be aware of it, because guilt can really paralyze us by causing us to feel that shame about some past action that we may have had, that inaction that we may not have had, and making it difficult for us to truly move forward in taking actions towards the next step that we need to do to continue on to getting that goal. And this happens so many times in wellness. We will look at a past failure and say, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. So what's the point of me even trying? This program, I'm not, we are our biggest enemies because we'll talk ourselves out of so much things just because of past failures, or again, not by us being able to forgive ourselves for certain things that we may have done in our lives. So I also wrote an ebook all about self-care and self-love. And if you know me, I love everything about abbreviations. And in my word self-care, The R stands for reset and release. And that's all about truly understanding about our inner traumas. We need to experience these feelings so we could better navigate it and know when they do arise what we need to do so we could either receive that feeling that we want to have in our lives, or we need to know ways to remove it. But if we are not aware of them, they just become dormant and actually hinder within us until one day when we have that combustment, that burnout or that frustration. We don't even know where it's coming from. Usually it tends to come from within. And, you know, the feeling of guilt may be especially hard for us women to really handle because of our social and cultural expectations and the gender roles. Because, us women, we're often so expected to prioritize the needs of other people over our own. It's just that expectation, just like it's called Mother Nature. We're nurturers by nature. Whether we have children, a relationship, a cat, a dog, a plant, we are always finding ways where we feel that we need to put their nurture before ours. And that could sometimes lead to our own inner guilty feeling because we've never taken that time out for ourselves. We never pursued our own goals because we were so busy pursuing other people's goals, or, making sure other people are okay. And with that, anything perceived as deviated from our own standard goals and what we desire, subliminally, it catches up to us. It builds up into this feeling of guilt. And the worst thing that we want to have is to be on our deathbed and have that shoulda, coulda, woulda. And a lot of times that does happen to so many people as they're about to go to that next transition on. They're saying, I should have did this. I could have done that. I would have done it. How many of y'all can relate to the shoulda, coulda, woulda? That's two hands for me. But I now have that self-awareness. I now understand the power of stepping through those feelings. Excuse me. This is real life, and this is why we come prepared and have that water. We need to understand that in order for us to remove that feeling of shoulda, coulda, woulda, is doing it. Removing that feeling, understanding what that feeling of guilt feels like, realizing that this is not something that is serving you any purpose to hold on to it. And discovering that by releasing it, not only are we becoming free from any doubts or anything that may have held us back because of that guilt, but it's also proving to ourselves that we are worth that time, that patience, that perseverance to get to that next level. We're not going to hinder. We're not going to hold on to things that no longer serve us. Can I get a heart if you are ready to release all those that don't serve you anymore? There's no need to have it, because it's been proven, it's been researched how us women, we tend to really hinder and hold on to those negative emotions way more than men do. We will contemplate it, we will play it over 10 times over in our head. We'll come up with our own conclusions. And sometimes those conclusions can really be what holds us back from saying, you know what, I'm going to come out of my comfort zone. This may have not worked this time, but it's going to work next time. It may not work next time, but we're going to keep on trying. We got to get into that mindset of understanding that feeling of guilt is just a part of the motions of life. It's how we handle that feeling in those difficult times that really is going to heighten that motivation, that inspiration, and that perseverance in anything that you do. It truly starts with the commitment that you put in yourself. It doesn't start by you getting that job that you've been aspiring for, or that relationship that you've been dreaming for, or that baby that you've been desiring. It doesn't come from that. It comes from that release from yourself within. And that's where the wellness really comes into play in all areas of life. We need to really hound down our overall wellness and understand the feelings that we have inside of us, our feelings that are from how we perceive this world, experiences, and situations. But the key is, how do we move on from that feeling? Do we keep that feeling or do we release it? The one thing I can say is let's not say, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Stop feeling that way. Don't feel that way. So many times, other people's opinions, especially those from the ones that we love, are going to say, stop feeling that way, this and that, that and that. And they're not saying it because they want you to fail. They saying it because they love you and they're concerned. But we need to receive these feelings that we have, these triggers that may come up, so that when they do arise again in life, because they will, this too shall pass. Every high has its low, every low has its high, but it's how we transition through these motions, this infinite eight, will truly better understand how we navigate it and how our mindset goes through it and what the ramifications it is for our overall wellness. It truly comes from how you perceive things. So we really need to understand that we do and we will have that pressure of guilt. We will have even those feelings of grief unexpectedly that come in that really plague us. And we as women, we can make the feeling of guilt either challenge us or we can make it navigate us and really challenge us to become stronger than we truly thought that we were. And we need to understand that this guilt feeling is normal. It's a normal, common emotion. And sometimes we need to seek that help. But what I've done is I've come up with 5 steps on ways that we can really help overcome that feeling of guilt. The first step, just like with everything with our mindset, number 1, identify the source of your guilt. Try to determine the specific causes that may be bringing on that guilt. Journaling is a great way for us to really come into maybe even things that came up in our past. When we start to write to ourselves, we start to really open up our own stories. And maybe it's a past action that we have not put to rest, or it could be something that's minute, but that has been festering so much in you that it's built up. But having that identity of figuring out the source of the guilt is a great way of really understanding the root cause and can help address the underlying issue. The second one is to recognize the negative effects. So recognize how it makes you feel. Acknowledge how the guilt is preventing you from taking that next action in your goals. How it is affecting your sleep, your eating, and your overall well-being. Recognize that dwelling on your guilt, and shame does not benefit you overall. You'll see with all of your makeup, it's going to start to affect you in so many other areas, your sleep, your eating, your concentration. So recognize those effects, those triggers. Now, number 3 is when you recognize it, you want to reframe the situation. Look at the situation objectively and reframe it into a more positive light. For every sunset, there's a sunrise. For every winter, there's a summer. We have to know that the opposite always does appear, right? So we need to reframe the situation and turn it into a positive light. Instead of focusing on what is wrong, and I say this all the time with people in my that I work with, let's stop focusing on what you want to fix and let's focus and build and create on what you want to cultivate. Let's look at that, reframe it, look at it positively, because energy flows where energy goes where energy flows. And when you try to identify and look at things differently in the future, instead of worry, you get that wonder. Learn from your experiences. Number 4, take the action. In order for things to change in life, we can say, but we got to start being about it. Stop talking about it and start being about it. Take that action. Instead of letting guilt hold you back, take the actions towards those goals. Prove to yourself by even doing small little increment steps. Rome wasn't built in one day, but doing these little small wins where you're getting 1% better every single day is proving to yourself that you got this and that you can do this. Number 5 is you need to seek that support. Seek support. Reach out to somebody like a mentor, like myself. A coach, a partner is really somebody that you can trust and that you want to have on your side to build up that accountability, keep you motivated, and help navigate you in sometimes when we need to get that redirection. And really, it's a great way for us to process our own emotions, and really a great reminder. Sometimes we already know that we're great, right? can I get a hey, hey, hey if you know you're great? Hey, hey, hey. That's right. We know that we're great. And sometimes life gets in the way that makes us question it. But when we have that support group, that mentor, that best friend, or that coach that is there to remind you of your greatness that you even said to them, it's about that accountability. So remember that experiencing and feeling guilt, it is completely normal and very common, but it's important not to allow it and let it consume you. By identifying the cause of your guilt, recognizing its effects, reframing the situation, taking action, and seeking support, you can truly overcome that guilty feeling and move forward towards all other goals that you are desiring to achieve. They are possible. And you need to do it to prove it to yourself by taking the action. Because I always say to people, whether you make an excuse or you actually take the action to get it done, they're both going to create a result. Both results. But what result do you want to create? Do you want to create change of a result, or do you want the result of being exactly where you were when you said that you needed to do the change? Right? Life is all about evolving. Life is all about growing. A tree that starts off with a seed, starts off as a seed, does not stay a seed. It continuously grows through the years and years and years. The roots become stronger. The trunk becomes wider. The branches become thicker. And that's what we need to do as we are going on this thing called life. Continuously grow within our own stance. Know that we are always a work in progress while we're living. We want to be. Because when we're a work in progress, we know that we're striving to get to that next level. And when we get to that next level, we want to continue to, because that's what we do as humans. So let's remove that guilt. Have that care and self-love so deep that you know that you're worth every second and every moment it takes to get a better relationship and better understanding of who you are from the inside out, not just aesthetically, not just externally. Like, I dislike that I have to always talk about the weight when we talk about wellness, but unfortunately, that's what gets everybody's attention. But the true desire and the true essence of wellness comes from within and doing the work. So I know you're ready to do that work. I know you're ready to take that action on you. So definitely continue to rock with me. And I know for all those ready action takers who want to take that next step, it's time to have that conversation with me. I've been here long enough. And it's time for us to take that action and get it done. All right? There's enough talking. As we always say here in the Caribbean, done the long talk. Well, I'm in Canada, but that's what we'll say. Done the long talk, which means stop talking and start being about it. We want to make these changes. We want to remove these guilty feelings, but it requires us to take that action. All right? Until next week, dear Camille, it's all about Wellness Wednesday, where we rock for about 15 to 20 to 30 minutes tops on anything and everything wellness. Most importantly, take this information and take that action. Give me a call. Thank you for rocking with me this evening. This is Camille coming to you live from We Got This Mind and Body, where I'm all about prioritizing living a healthier lifestyle through key areas of wellness, such as mindset, movement, metabolism, and maintenance, all without excessive workouts and fat diets, and truly about loving the skin that you are in. Let's go. Let's do this. Can't wait to have that conversation with you and get this wellness program going. You got this. We got this. Now let's go. Have a great one, everyone. Thank you for rocking with me.